Real TV. This is one of my favorite debates to watch. And I air quoted because it was extremely one sided. Let's go to this clip.
One of the things that you said during the interview, you said that Mandarin was one of the official languages in South Africa.
Yes, sir.
And others said you were dead wrong.
Yes, because I didn't clarify that I was speaking of it being an official language in the public school system of South Africa. So I should have clarified that Mandarin is an official language in the Republic of South Africa's school system. It's not an official language in the country, it's an official language in the school system. And I was speaking of schools, but I didn't clarify that, so that's my responsibility.
But it's also the responsibility of the people listening to give context. If you knew that it was a language of the school, why would you try to wordplay when you're talking to a child psychologist? Silly asses.
During that particular interview, you talked about a variety of issues that also got people talking. One of them dealt with your views on interracial marriage.
No, everybody was mad. Say it how you want to say it, Roland. Everybody was mad at him for saying what he said.
And so explain that for folks who did not hear.
Certainly. Simply put, any black man who is with a woman who's not an African herself is going to have a difficult time getting respect from me. I believe black men need to be with black women. The black family is under attack. Only 1 out of every 4 black women gets married. The black woman is last likely to get married. She's the last married, the first divorced. We have what? 2/3 of our children being raised by working class and impoverished single black female-led households. The destruction of a nation begins in the home of its families. And if we want to save black people, we have to save the black family. And in order to do that, black men have to commit themselves to black women.
So when you talk
Facts.
about not getting their respect, so if that's the case, you're saying President Barack Obama to get your respect because his dad married a white woman?
Oh, not at all.
With Harry Belafonte?
Not at all. I want to be very clear about something. As Pan-Africanists, the product of an interracial union is an African. I have heroes who are biracial, some of the grandfathers of Pan-Africanism.
So stop trying to wordplay, Roland.
Of mixed racial ancestry. You don't blame a child for how they got here.
But I'm asking you this here. Harry Belafonte is a white wife. No respect for him?
It would be very, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter your social status.
No. I didn't say social. I'm talking about.
Yeah, you did. No. You did say social status because you're naming the most popular people you could think of that have a white wife. Silly.
I'm asking you. So Harry Belafonte.
Yes, sir.
Sidney Poitier. Julian Bond. Vernon Jordan.
And you're naming all them to say what?
No, these are all Africans.
Right.
Who have done some good things.
No,
Who are popular. Say it.
Women. But you said any black man who marries a white woman will not get your respect.
Can I respond?
He didn't say that. He said they would have a hard time getting it. But, I'll let him clarify.
I'm telling you is this. I don't care who you name. I don't care how much work you did for black people. Your greatest commitment to black people is being committed to a black woman. It is still a contradiction. No matter how much you think you did for the struggle, if you really were concerned with black people, you would have committed yourself to a black woman. So it doesn't matter how successful they are. It doesn't matter how great you may claim them to be. At the end of the day, you didn't think enough about your own people to marry a woman who looks like you.
And here's the thing about that. Like the greatest black people in American history in terms of how people view things for what you've done all had black wives. So like it doesn't matter if you argue or how you feel about it. Like what he's saying has a historic base to it.
Douglas of our family ancestry is far from definitive proof.
2 things there. 1, he's not a descendant of Frederick Douglass. Okay? I would concur with that. All right? But then 2, you also heard that some of the things he says is correct. So the question becomes, he's either related or he's not. Okay?
So are you related?
I'm about to answer your question.
Okay.
Allow me to do that. I am a blood relative of Frederick Douglass. My name is on the family tree. We have a family reunion every 2 years. What they're talking about, I want to make sure you're clear. They're talking about whether or not I come through the loin of Frederick Douglass, which I do not, nor have I ever claimed. Okay? I have more videos on YouTube than any other scholar. I speak around the world more than any other scholar. Show me where I've ever said I was a descendant. I've only claimed one thing, kinsman. How am I kinsman? If you ever read any of the autobiographies of Frederick Douglass, he talks about growing up on Tuckahoe Creek with Cousin Stephen. Cousin Stephen is Stephen Bailey, Dr. Umar Johnson's 4 times great-grandfather, whose grave I just visited last week. I go every year. Okay, that's my 4 times great-grandfather. He married my 4 times great-grandmother, Caroline Wilson Bailey. From that union came my 3 times great-grandfather, George Washington Bailey, the first black public school teacher on the Eastern Shore of Maryland. He married Grandmom Annie. They had Grandmom Caroline. Okay, she had Grandma Vivian. Grandma Vivian married a Spanish-speaking Cuban immigrant, Grandpa Cicero. They had Grandmom Ida, who's still alive, who married James Johnson, who had my father Jamal, who married my mama Barbara, and from that union I was born. I am a blood of Bailey. I am not married in. What they're talking about is strictly...
So y'all trying to say that he lying about any of that? He not.
...descendancy, something I've never claimed. Am I a kin? Do I directly come from the loin of the first cousin and potentially half-brother of Frederick Douglass?
Do you respect Frederick Douglass?
You still trying to harp on this same thing, huh? He already told you what he told you.
Yes,
But he had a white wife.
he did.
So this one should
I'm going to clarify.
why is that an issue? Why is that if
It's an issue because you keep asking questions. That's why, Roland. It's an issue for you.
you put in the work and you have the history, who cares who you marry?
I already answered that question, and I told you I don't care how much work you put in. If you don't commit yourself to a black woman, ultimately you wasn't totally committed to the struggle.
Even Frederick Douglass.
Even Frederick Douglass has to be criticized, as I did on the Breakfast Club. Now, it has to be put in context. He didn't marry the white woman until he was an old man, after his wife, Anna Murray Douglass, of 50 years, a blue-black chocolate woman through whom all my cousins were born. He was an old man when he did it, but nonetheless, he did it. And yes, he has to be criticized on that, because a black man needs to be with a black woman, and it is a contradiction. I don't care how much work you think you've done for black folks to not commit yourself to a black woman.
So the question of interracial marriage,
Yes,
I mean,
ma'am.
come on, man. You're too smart for this. We got 43 here.
Too smart for what? What is he too smart for?
For
We
what?
got 43 million black people in this country.
And
We
that
got
means
over
what?
190 million white people. You're going to sit here and say that
And you
if
got
a
half
black
the
person,
black-
a white person get married, a black person, a white person get married, one can't understand the other person's struggle. You've seen
not
Tim
about
Wise,
individual-
right? You've seen
It's
Reverend
about
Wallace. You've
systematic
seen white people who
empowerment.
understand racism.
What? Go ahead, lady. Just go.
Very well.
That doesn't mean we're going to do anything about
that
it.
is obviously true is they understand racism when you see things like the murder of Medgar Evers, like the murder of
And-
Martin Luther King. They understand racism
and
just
what
fine.
did they do about it?
They understand us gaining just fine, and that's why murder happened.
Based on
right?
what?
So the idea.
Let me stop. She said that white people understand racism because they seen the murder of Martin Luther King. Let me tell you what the murder of Martin Luther King created. The feminist movement. While black people were sitting around mourning and sad over Martin Luther King, they were burning bras for their rights. And now, women kind of like her have a line behind that and attacking black men with it. It's kind of crazy, ain't it? So don't tell me that people understand racism because of Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King's death was the greatest thing that ever happened to white people in this country, damn near. So what are you talking about? Be quiet.
That somehow a white person can't understand our struggle?
I
No
could
way.
care less what they understand. I'm
No
asking
way.
you, what have they done systematically
He already
to
told you
improve
that.
the opportunities
He
of white
already
folks?
told you
He
that.
did not tell
Oh,
me
yes,
that.
you did tell
He
tell
did
me
not
that.
tell
No,
me
he did not.
Tell me that guys like Tim Wise and Reverend Wallace don't understand
What about
race in
Tim
America?
Wise?
They
What about them? What about them understanding racism? What about 2 people in the entire world out of the 146 million you just named about them understanding racism? Where was they at when? Never mind, man.
Articulate
They don't-
racism,
So
but what has he done to
there are no white
systematically
people that understand race in
eliminate it?
America.
There's not a white
people.
person in
There's no white people
America.
understand race in America.
There's not a white person.
What does understanding race have to do with anything? What does it have to do with anything?
There's not a white person in America who has ever worked to systematically eliminate the white privilege that they benefit from vis-a-vis your oppression.
You know 190 million people in America.
Eugene. We're not going to go there. We're not. I
Called to be a liar, and you're cool.
Well, it's a fact that
Watch
you're
how you
lying.
talk
It's
to
a
me,
fact
but
that
watch
you're
how I
lying.
talk
It's
to
a
No, yeah, watch your mouth.
fact that you're
I
lying.
understand you.
To say that.
No, everybody, 1 second. Several things I don't allow. I don't allow the N-word. I don't allow coon. We can talk to one another and disagree, but I do not use racial epithets against
And
black
that's
people.
fine, but he called me a liar.
No.
So the language needs to be watched on both
Racial
sides.
epithets will not be used on this show
And that's fine.
by anybody.
But how,
The coolest thing that he did is he said against black people, and he means that because he be using racial epithets against white people. He really does. And he's married to a black woman. So his argument here is really just for his viewers and for to be liberal. It's something deep down in him that understands what Umar Johnson is talking about because he's married to a black woman. So
But you can say whatever you want, but no racial
no, you can't say whatever you want. Don't call me a liar when I'm up here telling the truth. You can't say whatever you want to me. No, you can't.
will be used on this show about black people to black people. Eugene, your question.
So, from your paradigm, from your perspective, Civil Rights Act isn't an act of white folk stepping up on behalf of black folk.
No, it's an act of Lyndon Baines Johnson trying to look good because, listen, man, y'all need to go do the research on JFK and how he wasn't signing nothing. And Lyndon Baines Johnson didn't want to end up like his boy. Not that that's the reason that happened to him, but he didn't want to end up like him in any way. So he wanted people on his side. So he did something to get the black vote. It was for himself. It was a selfish maneuver.
Current criminal justice reform legislation movement isn't a current act of white folks stepping up
Hell no.
on behalf of black folk.
No.
Folk that funded the civil rights movement in the 50s and 60s isn't an act of white folks stepping up on behalf of black folk.
No, it's an act of them gaining control to make people slaves to work for them. No, nothing that you're naming is accurate, bro.
I'm sorry, as an American, because I define myself as an American, an African American.
sure you do.
I live in a country
I'm sure you do.
that moves forward together. And I say that as a Republican.
No, we don't.
We move forward together.
No, we don't.
Yes, we have individual struggles. Yes, we have struggles. Yes, we have. Yes, no. Yes, we have. Systematic. We have proportionality.
Finish in 15 seconds.
We have systematic struggles, and together as a country, moving forward to defeat those struggles.
No, we don't. Especially you talking about a Republican. Shut up. You're a black Republican. Half of the world calls you out your name. That's not the first time you've been called a coon. So you shut up. It's political beef. It's race beef. It's black men and women beef. It's white women and black women beef. It's all type of beef. So you shut up. It ain't nobody ruining Jewish people is beef. So you stop it. Stop Asian hate beef out of nowhere. Then, so you shut up.
So, based on what you said, I want you to give me examples of white folk, not individuals, but systematically. Excuse me.
Why can't they be individuals?
They can't be individuals because individuals ain't moving no damn needle, silly little ass. You talking about Reverend Wives and Alice. People that's just going to sit up and talk about something. Individuals is not moving the needle. They're not getting no laws changed. They're not getting no rules changed. They're not getting nothing done without legislator, without bills, without laws. Stop playing with me.
Wait,
1 second answer.
Can I finish?
Go.
Okay, I'm going.
Right.
Okay? You cannot name anything systematically done ever in this country by white people to equal the playing field for black folks.
Hasn't been done.
Congress literally sits behind us. The Civil Rights Act, the Voting Rights Act.
It didn't happen. It didn't happen.
Are you aware?
Can I
White people
Cap.
are proud of you, son.
Scott Bolden.
Yeah, they real proud of you because you don't even understand what you talking about for real.
The terminology and the narrative being used is a little misleading, not from you, but from this dialogue right here. It's one thing to sympathize with the struggle. It's another one to empathize with the struggle. Very different. When you talk about marriage being a political choice, and that one of the arguments that you made that I tend to agree with is that if you don't marry a black woman, then she can never support and comfort and value your day-to-day struggle as a black man.
See, what y'all watching right now is someone who's clean cut, straight lace, dare I say nerdy, preppy, agreeing with Umar in a way where a politically correct way. But he's agreeing.
That being said, I do think that the level of the rhetoric that you use in regard to your Pan-Africanism is difficult for many of us.
See, like
In the mainstream to get our arms around.
See, in the mainstream to get our arms around. So basically, he's saying, I agree with you, but you just can't say it like that because you got to blend in and be like me. I agree with you, though. I see his wedding ring. I can guarantee you we look him up. He got a black wife. He just agreed with him. So therefore, he agrees with him, but he's just saying the level of your rhetoric, like you just can't say it this way. You can't attack white people. This is what he's trying to tell him.
But this issue about black men and white women in the civil rights struggle is not a new discussion. My mother was a civil rights activist in Chicago, and she would often complain privately that, one, you can't sleep black, you can't sleep white and talk black, if you will. And that's always been in the American struggle, African-American struggle with ourselves. The other thing is that we struggle with our own psychology about self-love and otherwise. And if we get our arms around...
See, why he ain't arguing with this lady next to him? He need to be arguing with her too. He's agreeing with everything he's saying. Like, he literally said, you're right, but you can't say it like that, but you're right, though. That's what he said. This is his whole speech. You're right, but you can't say it like that, but you're right.
That does make sense. Okay?
But you would have to say...
And then he's saying you're right again. He finished it off with, that does make sense. So you're right, can't say it like that, but you're right, and you're making total sense.
You know 190 million people.
But you're being too...
You would have to plan that.
See what I'm saying? Nah, I told you. Why you ain't arguing with her? I never peeped that. See, breaking this down, I watched this a lot, but not that moment meant something after I done said, why isn't he arguing with her? He trying to. Like, yo, you wrong. This guy don't know nothing. That's why he's just sitting there like, I don't know. You don't know. You shut up. Umar saying, yo, she's crazy.
You'd have to claim
No, go ahead and respond. Go ahead.
And I agree with my brother's comments. Brother Scott, he brought up the Civil Rights Bill, but what he did not talk about in relation to the Civil Rights Bill is there were two words included in that bill that ultimately served to take away from black people what that bill was intended to deliver. They added gender and they added sexual orientation. And as a result of that, white women and homosexuals...
What I said. What happened right after that? And you talking about the bill was for black people, just like the affirmative action situation. It had a negative effect. And it benefited who? The bra burners. So you better stop playing.
Been able to strip black America from the intended gains of the Civil Rights Act. So there was still racism in that bill if you will study that history.
So, Umar, your question was, has anyone black ever systematically done, has anyone white ever systematically done anything?
Systematically. White America.
So LBJ would be the answer for that, because that's the government.
No, I don't think you
That's a systematic move.
No, you didn't hear the question. No, you did not. No,
Yeah,
you didn't.
Yeah, I
You're
did.
so quick to defend white folks.
LBJ actually would be the answer to that. He actually would. He did it for himself, though. He actually would be the answer to that. She's right about that. But she doesn't understand that sometimes the worst thing you can be is right. Because you bringing him up proves Umar's point.
No, I'm not trying to defend white folks.
45 seconds, so restate the question and give an answer. Got 45 seconds to get an answer.
The question was, what has white America done?
Right.
Not individuals. Systematically. You won't even let me finish.
Yeah, because you...
If that in level...
Because, all right, now let me break it down to anybody that may not understand. Because, okay, let me break it down let's go all the way back. When slavery was abolished. Okay, that's Abraham Lincoln, right? Now, the owners of the slaves didn't abolish slavery. It took them years. They had to go through some court cases. Google Francis Scott Key. He gets a bad rap. That's all I'm gonna say. Just Google him, look him up. So you could pass a bill, but are people gonna care and execute it? No. It's never been done. That's why when the civil rights bill that he's talking about got passed, the bra burners came up and put their views ahead of anything. And it's still negatively affecting black people because now women are trying to crawl behind that and using it to negatively affect men of their race when it was never for us to begin with. And the proof is in the pudding and the bills and the timeline. So you crazy. You don't know what you're talking about.
Finish.
Got left 3 times.
20 seconds.
There is no bigger system than
20 seconds, I'll finish.
The US
And in 20
government
seconds, I would say that the panel that you have here, who are extremely intelligent, do not represent the everyday black man and woman struggles, and then because of that, they cannot articulate.
And you represent 43 million people.
Right. And you keep talking about 43 million people that you don't know, and you sound crazy. When last time you been on a date with one of the people of the 43 million? Or the 190 million of the other race?
Weekdays on TV.
She crazy, and Umar caught her body. So, y'all subscribe.